You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome and thank you for joining us. It's a fantastic Friday's edition, no matter how much is on your plate and how stressed your day is. Be mindful that the sun will set and you might see the green flash, even if not embraced in the arms of the one next to you. But we start our things in a positive note with our friends from Hope for Today Foundation. Get a chance at 1 p.m. to talk to two wonderful parents who celebrate the success of the son and through them as a community. So we talk to the parents of Aaron Jars. And then at 2 p.m., Dr. Martinez from the HSA will join us because, hey, need to be informed, engaged, and involved. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome and thanks for joining us. And I think sometimes we're reminded that despite physically being a small place when we combine all three islands, and as a population, many of us might think, oh, geez, so many of us, traffic congestion. But it's a place filled with great resource, great resilience and resolve, and a people with immense respect. And I'm glad that we draw alongside. So today, as we join our friends from Hope for Today Foundation, Mr. Brent Hydes, together with his, counterpart from the east. When the east meets west, the sun sets. Brett McLean, and to show their wisdom, they brought along Dr. Alexandra Borton. So, with their friends to our lady amongst the midst to keep the gent in check. Mr. Hydes, good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, Sterling, it's always a pleasure to sit with a panel such as this and to talk about this most delicate subject that these individuals in our community struggle with. So today we're here to try to bring some light to some of those struggles.
And I like the fact that perhaps increasingly we have these discussions so that people can see a sense of community involvement and engagement, a jovial, lighthearted approach at times to a very serious and sobering subject, but at the same time respecting that we are all in this together. Unlike what may be transpiring elsewhere, this affects and impacts all of us immediately and directly, whether it is us as a recovery person or whether it's us as the spouse, the sibling, the co-worker, the neighbor. It's impactful. So before I sort of go to Mr. McLean, Dr. Borton, from that perspective, I wonder if this community is getting to a space of appreciation of the knock-on socio-economic implications, homelessness, hunger, unemployment, recidivism. I mean, just life and quality life and survival.
Yeah, for sure. And I really appreciate all of these discussions, and I always enjoy the work I do with Hope for Today Foundation as well. It's very important work, and I think that more and more Cayman is being willing to be more open about these kinds of issues, talking about recovery, talking about mental health. Substance abuse, mental health definitely go hand in hand, and definitely is up to the community to help with supporting all of the work that's going on. Because it's not, I think a lot of times it's more comfortable for us to think that it's something wrong with that person. And, you know, and growing up here, I know that there's always been that heavy stigma against it. But really, you know, the community is a part of the difficulties when it starts, and the community are a part of the solution as well. And it really benefits everyone to support the people who are going through substance use difficulties in order to get them back on their feet and have them be a happy, healthy, functioning part of the society.
Indeed. Brent McLean, to you, and I say this carefully but deliberately, inviting the public to appreciate where we are, you know. We all would have said and probably heard, there but the grace of God go I. And we are almost pious sometimes when we say it.
Yeah, I concur what the doctor says, that the reality of it is that these things need support. It's the greatest asset to anybody when they're, whether it's recovering from drugs, whether it's mental health, whatever it is, it definitely needs the support. And I think what is happening is that Cayman is now becoming more acceptable to that support. There was a time when if you say somebody had a drug problem or somebody had a mental problem, we would always say, just push them in one side. But it isn't just that anymore. I mean, I can speak from experience and stuff, and have had some challenges myself. And if it wasn't for the support that I had, friends and family and all of that stuff, then you would be in a different place. But that's something that definitely need to happen, and that's why I'm always here to support Brent with the Hope Foundation, because these people, a lot of those people, they don't really have that family support. They don't have that community support, and without that support, it just seems like a dead end. Where am I going? What am I doing? You know, and we got to continue to have these discussions so people become aware that we don't alienate these people and push them one side. These are real problems, and not only that they're real problems, all of us have those. From the highest level to the lowest level, those problems are there. It isn't just one set of people that have a drug problem or that have mental issues. It's not just one set of people. It can affect any and everyone across the board. So I'm always here to give my support to Brent, especially. What he's doing is absolutely phenomenal, and we know a lot of people that have gone through his program. So I'm here to give my support always.
And if I can clarify as well, because I think that's really important, and just because I know that people who are close with someone who is struggling with addiction right now might be like, well, it's not our responsibility to deal with it, and that's true. So the support is important, but it's also, that's where I think, you know, people who are able to come through a program like Mr. Brent has at the Hope for the Day Foundation is really important. They will have the more direct support when they're initially in recovery, and as they're making reparations to their relationships and rebuilding their support network around them as well. So it's not just us, it's up to them to do their part, but if we're there to support them, they're going to go a lot further.
You know, when we come back from the break, let's talk about that, because it is that support that we need. We travel, and our physicians tell us, you know, where these particular articles of clothing for circulation support. We're shoring up our structure. You want, you know, structural integrity. You want support. But we don't realize how important that physical, tangible, loving support from family and friends is so important. You know, you are exercising, you have a buddy. Yeah, you want that. So let's look at that when we return and to appreciate what Brent McLean shared. That it's all of us in this. And one question I want to ask: are we willing to be unforgiving and make excuses for the addict who drinks alcohol versus the addict who takes some other drug, whether it's the opiates that are being overly prescribed and abused, or if it's something else? And are we making unnecessary and unfortunate distinctions between the types of addiction? Well, it's only ganja, you know. not as bad as whatever, right? And if it's so, is that okay? And what do we do? All right, we're going to have a next half hour or so, next interesting discussion. So we ask you to draw near and stay tuned.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, the excellent company of Dr. Alexandra Borden, together with Brent Hydes from Hope for Today Foundation and Brent McLean. You know, it's not the battle of the Brents, it's Brent squared, you know. I think, well, I say this honestly and seriously. The scripture talks about, where two or more gathered, there am I. And strength comes when you have unity, you have numbers. And the more of us that draw alongside, perhaps the easier it is to maybe achieve something if you're working hand in hand. The safety and security that comes in numbers, but also that support that we referenced earlier. Brent Hydes, from the perspective of the ongoing football sort of tournaments that we've been having almost every holiday Monday, isn't just about fundraising because you provide free food. It's not just about playing a game of football. It's about trying to bring a community to recognition that, as Brent McLean shared, this affects all of us.
It absolutely does, Dean. And why we do these events is mostly to raise some money for Hope for Today Foundation, but to kind of look back at the good old days when we used to have these garden parties kind of thing where people would come out and they'll talk about the sack racing, spoon racing, bunks and castles for the children, where we provide free food to the public. I mean, we give out at least 250 plates of food at each one of these events. But to touch a little deep on that, we look at how the community benefits from Hope for Today Foundation, and as we come together to try to make changes in our community and in the way we see substance abuse issues and mental health. Because it's easy for us. Years gone by, we would say, just give it up, just stop, just quit, just go to church. You know, that may work for some people. It doesn't work for all. It's not one jacket fits everybody, and we have to see it that way. But we cannot tell someone to go clean up their life and they have no job, no food, no clothes, no place to call home.
No support.
No support, absolutely. No support. And you're telling them to go and change their life.
Yeah. But let me ask, right? I know I say this, and I know a very good friend was offended once, and then he came back eventually and said, I'm not going to apologize, but, you were right. And I couldn't record him because he wouldn't say it a second time. But we hear it in our PSAs, we hear it in our public presentations, alcohol or drugs and alcohol. Now I go back to Mr. Gray in school, and he said caffeine and alcohol were drugs. Now Dr. Borden, as a pharmacologist or trained physician and clinician,
psychologist with a psychopharmacology degree. So.
No,
just to be clear, I'm not a physician.
No, she's not. Oh, but
completely.
But alcohol and caffeine, they're technically drugs in that sense, right?
Right.
Okay. And I'd say that just to prove that I was reading and paying attention one day in science class. But I do not shy away from ensuring that we don't say drugs and alcohol, because I think too many of us will say, okay, it's just alcohol.
It's legal.
Well, that's the first thing. It's legal. Forget there's abuse at an early age or even overuse at an older age. But we will have a culture in some places where at lunch it's okay to have a particular drink but not another kind of drink before, during, or after the meal. And some cultures not during the workday but after work. Just depending on the culture and the person. That person who is an alcoholic can go into work and it seems to be okay, but from co-workers, from employers, from things. But Brent McLean, I mean, drugs are drugs, right? No?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
That's why we give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, is what is legal and what is illegal. And that's under the definition of who decides what's legal from what isn't legal, right? But they all have some kind of knock-on effect. And yeah, because it's okay to drink a 6-pack beer, but you can't smoke no marijuana. But in essence, it will end up doing the same thing. It becomes addictive, and it can become a part of your life that gets out of control and still need that support. So, we have to think about it in a holistic way, that these are all problems. Some of them might be a legal problem, some of them might be an illegal problem, but they're all the same kind of problems, and we all have to be aware of that, and we all have to know that to get past these addictions, whatever these addictions are, I go back to, again, what I said earlier. You have to have that support. Same thing what Brent was saying. You have to not only have the support, but you have to have some place to be able to stay. You have to have the stresses of the world away from you, on a daily basis to be able to get better,
So Brent Hydes,
yes, sir.
What I would like to do is speak more about this, and then after the next break we talk about how the community can rally with the cleanup and with the football. Sure. But if it's okay through you and with your consent, pick up on what Brent McLean was sharing, in that here we are in a society willingly, through legislation, through social acceptance, make a strong distinction between drugs. So I think, as I say that, some countries, some jurisdictions moving towards a policy called towards Tobacco 21, so that the legal age to start smoking a legally available drug, you have to be 21 or older, right? Some states in the U.S., 21 before you can legally drink. Some countries it's probably much earlier. Some cultures, the child is given a taste of particular alcohol, watered down with the meal with the parents. I'm not going to get into, the psychology or the cultural nuances, but my question to you is, when we look at that, whether it's Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, or other support systems, I gather from those who've shared that whether they're 25 years, 40 years into recovery, or whether they're counting 25 days, they always see themselves as addicts, right? As in recovery.
Yes.
And I want you to help me to understand if that's the case, and if so, why.
Well, the bottom line, when we are attending 12-step meetings,
okay,
that's how we identify ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We identify ourselves by simply introducing ourselves. I am an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may choose to word it different. I'm in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
But to the other piece that you talked about, it doesn't matter what kind of chemical it is.
Mm-hmm.
If we continue to use whatever substance, chemicals, we got to remember that it will progressively get worse. It won't get any better.
Mm-hmm.
If we continue, it can and will become fatal to the point where it may kill us.
Oh.
So we have to recognize the fact that these things are deadly. These substances.
So let's look at it.
Sorry,
Dr.
It
Warren.
doesn't have to be a substance. It might just be behaviors,
Ah.
right? With things. So gambling is actually now recognized as a diagnosis in the DSM officially, but other behaviors can often become problematic. Things like internet gaming addiction, sex addictions now.
Tiger Woods,
something
anybody?
being looked after, right? Exactly. And so it can be a behavior as well. And a lot of times when people stop using substances, if they're not fully embracing their recovery, the behaviors often change into more of a behavioral pattern as opposed to necessarily a substance.
And I'm glad you referenced that, because when I say Tiger Woods, it wasn't to be jovial. It's the fact that Dr. Bud, maybe through
He
you.
was the one that kind of brought that diagnosis to the forefront. It's not officially a diagnosis right now, so I should be clear about that. It's one that was considered, as was gaming addiction. Gambling is the only one that actually made it into the books.
And we've joked about it, right? But how many of us, I look at chocolate, for instance. Someone said it's probably sugar, and it seems that sugar is a drug. I've had people on board say it's more addictive than crack cocaine.
Yeah, Dr. Cotton.
Yeah, and she was one of many physicians and clinicians and the like. Who would have thought that? I can go into the supermarket right now. I don't know what the largest bag of sugar you can buy. I've seen 10 pound, but I know restaurateurs can buy 50-pound bags of sugar. I would suggest anybody take too much of it because of the impact. But it's a drug.
Right. Yeah, and I think, and so if I can just elaborate a little bit on what Mr. Brent had said as well, because it is substances or behaviors, and definitely if you get into those patterns, they can ruin your life for sure, and many will end in death. Yeah. And so I think it is something to be taken seriously, even if it is only a sex addiction, only a gaming addiction. It's still something to be looked at.
Okay.
As far as identifying as an addict, that is traditional with the 12-step programs, but not all people in recovery subscribe to that. So I think there are other approaches to it. Just as Mr. Brent said, there's no one-size-fits-all. Many people find the 12-step programs to be and self-help programs very helpful in their recovery. Some people don't use them at all, and some people will use a different model. And there's actually even a few alternatives to 12-step programs available from the States as well.
All right. Well, and this is where I think association, but also being willing to reach out to trained clinicians like yourself for help, because I think we believe one is weakness if we do. I think there's strength. We believe that in so doing, somehow we are less than and what have you. Hope for today and similar facilities.
It's a big person to ask for help.
Hey, listen, that's what I call my brothers all the time. Yes. I can't reach the top shelf. All right. When we come back from the break, let's talk about the upcoming events and show how the community, whether through corporate sponsorship, through physical participation on the field and the cleanup, through in the stands and cheering, through giving support, without, perhaps Dr. Bond, you help us to maybe understand slightly support versus enabling, if that is something, because many of us love.
We'd be glad to tell you how Cayman is going to just smash Latinos on May 16th.
You see, when I go into the break, the man already trash talking.
Just start already.
Yeah, I feel sorry for David. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. If you can make Joel laugh like you just did. Joel, press the button. Okay. All right, listen, next 15 minutes or so, if you were listening, listen even more attentively. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza, open Monday to Friday 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square and Grand Harbor has the largest and the best collection of Hallmark and Shoebox Valentine's Day cards. Poetic cards, serious cards, seriously funny cards, fabulous cards, and the perfect card for your Valentine. Healthcare Pharmacy also has Hallmark gift boxes, brand name perfume and cologne sets, home spa kits, and quotable quotes for your Valentine. So this year, make it a perfect Valentine's Day with Healthcare Pharmacy, Grand Harbor, and Governor Square.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Due to the high number of COVID cases in the community, Water Authority Cayman is encouraging customers to conduct as much business as possible online or over the phone and avoid coming into the office. Need to pay a bill? You can do it online. Just visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and click on the Pay My Bill button. Are you experiencing service issues? Contact our customer service team via the phone on 949-2837 or email info@waterauthority.ky. Don't forget to practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently with soap and water. For updates from the Water Authority, visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and our social media pages.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. Thanks to Brent McLean, Brent Hides, and Dr. Alexandra Borden. You know, Dr. Borden, publicly I must say that you're so willing and gracious and giving of your time. You're willing to support us, not only in a monthly mental health matters show, but here within the community. And I think this is where that support, where those of us can give our time, our talent, and our treasure to make our society. And I think Brent is saying that to, well, you know, this is what, February, right? Yeah, yes. Today's February. I know some of us are looking towards very favorably and excited to Chocolate Day, National Chocolate Day on the 14th. That's what I call it now. I mean, but on the 16th of May, you know, you got a football match coming up. But before that, you got to end of the month. You got to clean up. The way the community can come together and visibly demonstrate a willingness to partner.
Yes, on the 27th of this month, starting at the West Bay Police Station, the Hope for Today Foundation is putting on a cleanup. Mm-hmm. First, we're tackling West Bay South, the constituency of West Bay South. We'll be going from the West Bay Police Station all through the south side of West Bay and doing our part. We want to encourage the community for love of country and community. Come out and join us. We will be providing all the trash bags, grab sticks, gloves, etc. All the refreshments would be provided. Come out and just be a part of it for the love of country.
That's what the
also, we want to thank We want to thank Junk for providing the trash bags, and Foster's for coming on board, supplying the water, etc. supplies. Island Tears, C3PU Fiber. All these organizations have stepped up and just generously helped us with our supplies, so we want to thank them so much. Again, we could never say enough about Mr. Marcus Cumberg and how he has always stepped up to support not only the organization, but for the love of this country.
And I think this is where something like a district community cleanup, you're literally taking and making a place much more attractive by removing things that are not so. It's like going to your garden and you finally take out the weeds because now you want to repot your flower bed, or you might decide to change it altogether and put in some, take out ornamentals and put in some herbs and vegetables. We need to do that. We need to partner, but that takes partnership, initiative, effort, support.
Absolutely.
Right? Are we in our country yet? Are we there, so to speak, when we look at the addict? And if that's not the word to use, please help me. The person who's been in and out of prison, we talk about the recidivism rate. The person who hasn't gone to prison, but we as family know has an issue, or he's just, usually he, but we see more and more that is many of us at different ages. From the clinician's perspective, Dr. Barton, what can we do as a community to look at them and not point fingers and berate them, but draw alongside and support them?
Right. So as a clinician, one of the things that that psychology has really tried to do is actually to step away from labels. So that's something that we have done, and I think something that can be helpful with the community. Obviously, in recovery, do whatever is needed. But so from our perspective, there's someone struggling with a substance use disorder. Just like we don't like with mental illness anymore, if someone is dealing with schizophrenia, we don't call them schizophrenics anymore. They're a person, first and foremost.
Right, okay.
And they are someone who's dealing with schizophrenia. And so, from that, putting the person front and center is what's most important. I think that Cayman's been a lot more open to it in the last few years. The field has grown in leaps and bounds. Since I first went off to do my training in psychology, my father was heartbroken.
I can relate.
A lot more here. Yeah, it's a great field, and she'll go far. But I think the community has gone a long way with that, and I think that this is a great way for the guys to get out there, for them to be able to give back, because I think too often, as a society, we label people, and it's more comfortable for us to just think they are just insert label here. But to see them as a community and see them there, and bring them back in as well, that's what's most important. That's why people who go through programs like the Halfway House that come out and have the support, there are lower recidivism rates. Mr. Brent's got some great statistics on how much money can be saved by actually putting someone through the program there, as opposed to just locking them up. Right, and so I think that's really important. The biggest protective factor against mental illness, against substance use, against stress, or against recidivism is going to be social support and social integration. So that's where this can be really helpful. It's a way of the guys being able to give back. And I say guys just because I know Mr. Brent's residents are all men. But for people to be able to give back, and the community to come out, work alongside them, get to know them, get to know more about the program, because then it's easier if you yourself are going through difficulties, or if you have a friend, family, loved one who's dealing with it, to know who's there. Come out and see the guys are people and what they're able to give. I will say that anytime my students come out, we always go and do a visit with the home, and they're always so moved by the stories and by the heart and the courage that the men have and that they show.
And this is where I value greatly our monthly mental health matters, because I think increasingly, Brent McLean, you shared that too often we don't understand that we are having an issue, right? We know that, our family knows that, but we're not sufficiently supportive, and even when we want to be, we don't know how to be. And not to maybe delve into this discussion so much, but I wonder to what extent that mental health and on wellness, if that's a good way to put it, and the addiction, how the two sort of interplay. Because I'm wondering if we stop pointing fingers and assigning labels and just look at the person, how much more helpful we can be, more supportive, Dr. Barton.
No, I agree. A lot of times substance use is a symptom. right? And so a lot of times there's other difficulties that are going on, right? You don't become an addict because you have problems or because everything was great, right? Addictions develop, right? So people develop addictions because they're using substances or behaviors in order to meet a need that's not being met. And a lot of times it takes a long time to develop. It doesn't tend to be an overnight thing. So I think it's, the states have actually moved to we treat substance abuse separately from mental illness. We no longer do that. And actually, they've actually pulled primary care in as well because they've realized how important the medical aspects are with whole person recovery as well. So it's, they definitely are one and the same, and they're both important. When looking at having the person fully be in recovery and get to be the definition of mental health, which is actually being able to live a fulfilling and productive life.
Yeah. I wonder to what extent somewhat unconsciously, and maybe as a coping mechanism and the like, we're self-effacing at times. Some of us will perhaps harken back to the teacher or the family member who made comments that weren't complimentary, and now we are adults, how that may affect our psyche, our perspective of ourselves, as it were. And then, Brian hides to the perspective of that person who has an addiction. Sometimes going back into that space, and Dr. Borden, I'll carefully but consciously say, become depressed without even recognize that they're going down that hole, as it were. And then the wider community not appreciating, well, why can't you just get a job? Why can't you just keep your job? Why? And we beating the person up. We have a call on. Brent, before you jump in, we have Dr. Alexandra Borden, we have Brent Hides and Brent McLean. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon to you and your esteemed panel.
And to you, good afternoon.
I don't want to say that I enjoy listening, but it is good that we're having these conversations because for too long it's been so hidden and secretive and people don't talk about it. But one particular thing that I want to highlight today when we're talking about the progresses that have been made, the drug court and the mental health court doing an amazing job. I don't know how many people know about that option, but I can tell you, and particularly when it's Justice Foldat that is running the mental health or drug court, he deals with the individuals as if they're a person, a real human being. And he tries. I mean, they work with them. And then the probation officers, some of those are absolutely outstanding. And I just really wanted to mention that we do have a whole different way of looking at some of this now. That's not to say that we still don't have a huge problem. We have a huge problem in this country. We know that. But a part of getting beyond this huge problem is what we're doing right now, talking openly and candidly and with people who know what to do, who can help us. And I'm just so happy for Dr. Borden and for Brent and those who are doing their job, are doing a good job. And yeah, I don't think we ever refer to someone as an ex-addict. An addict is always in recovery. And the reason is, the definition of addiction. They can be off for 10 years. And I'm speaking now of alcohol because that's where I know of someone. But if they take that first drink, that's it. They're gone again, just like that. And I think that's why you're always considered in recovery, because it is also something physiological. It's something in a person's makeup. Why one person can drink forever and control it, but another person, after they are exposed to one or two drinks, they become addicted, So it is something, I don't know if it's in your DNA or what you call it. Maybe it is DNA, because you'll see it run in families, And alcohol is one of the most dangerous drugs. It is a narcotic drug. Make no mistake about it. It is a narcotic drug. The only difference with alcohol, it is legal. And therein ends the distinction between dangerous drugs. Alcohol is a legal a legal dangerous substance. The others are still considered illegal except for prescription medications, which can do a pretty bad job on some persons also. Thank you. I will not take any more of your time, but I'm just so grateful for these kind of discussions, and the more we can do to try to bring it to light. Oh, one last thing though, and I'm sure Dr. Bodden would have noticed this in her practice. Many of the people who are exhibiting addictions to substances or whatever will have had predisposing factors such as low IQs or other mental issues, there are many mental issues that contribute. And certainly the terrible people like drug dealers, they prey on those with low self-esteem or low IQ or who might be having another mental problem. They pick on them because they know they're the low-hanging fruit, as it's referred to sometimes. They're easy game. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, thank you too for sharing.
I could touch, and thank you, caller. Thanks so much for your call.
That was brilliant.
And I could touch on the callers.
Mm-hmm. Now, quickly, Mr. Height, I don't mean to be rude to you, but we're going to come to this conversation continually, but I see the time.
Yes.
Such an important subject, and yet so little time.
What I want to touch on is I'm glad she mentioned the Drug Rehabilitation Court, because she got to remember that the Hope Foundation plays a major role in that link.
Mm-hmm.
Is because many times these individuals do not have no home.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about earlier, it's one thing to tell somebody to go and get clean.
Yeah.
But if they have no food,
no clothing,
place
no shelter,
to call home.
Yeah.
And that's the role that the Hope Foundation plays with the Drug Rehabilitation Court.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have this going on, and I respect and really appreciate the caller for recognizing the importance of these continued discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why we try to facilitate this regularly, we can point fingers at each other, we can assign labels, but unless we acknowledge and recognize the problem and openly address it, it's only going to fester.
Yeah. And that we all play a role.
And we all play a role.
In overcoming these difficulties.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the biopsychosocial model. So yes, biological, psychological, and social influences are always to be considered. So yes, and it was DNA. Thank you, ma'am. That was great.
So Dr. Bodden, Mr. Hayes, we know between now and the end, we will talk about in February the cleanup.
Yes, we do have to clean up. I'm going to allow Brent to tell the Latinos about the real whipping and bashing.
He got a couple of months to
so
yeah, we still got some.
He's going to be participating.
Yeah, we got some time to deal with them.
Yeah, man, we got some time. And you know, I make space for the Latinos, my friend.
Yeah.
But he's going to say, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'd love to just have him on the sideline.
Yeah, you better. You take bring my boots again.
At some point, we gotta get Dwayne on the field. At some point.
You know what? This might be the time. You know. This might be the time.
Okay.
I know. But listen, gents, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support from the sponsors to the wider community, and each of you for taking time out. And now we will go into our next segment, but that caller's point is salient and striking in that it resonates with us, and we need to draw alongside. So. Thank you. I invite you to have a very safe and enjoyable weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, a pleasure.
We always enjoy sharing with you. We always invite you to be a part of it. Our next scheduled discussion, I think, is something to show what support does and what the service and sacrifice as parents to the community as we celebrate the success of each other, what it can do and what it means. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Police are investigating a serious assault incident which happened just after 8:40 Wednesday morning. Police say they were called out to Kentsville Drive in Georgetown, where it was reported the two men were fighting on a work site, and one of the men was struck in the head with an object by the other and badly injured. The injured man was taken to the hospital by ambulance, where he was treated for serious but non-life-threatening injuries and later discharged. A 54-year-old man of Georgetown was arrested on suspicion of assault, grievous bodily harm, and later bailed pending further investigation. Anyone with information regarding the incident is encouraged to call the Georgetown Police Station at 949-4222 or the RCIPS confidential tip line 949-7777. In international news, the country where the coronavirus outbreak emerged 2 years ago launched a lockdown Winter Olympics on Friday, proudly projecting its might on the most global of stages, even as some Western governments mounted a diplomatic boycott over the way China treats millions of its own people. The Chinese president declared the games open during an opening ceremony heavy on ice blue tones and winter imagery that was held in the same lattice-encased national stadium that hosted the inaugural event at the 2008 Olympics. And one of the 3 men convicted of murder in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery has taken back his guilty plea ahead of the federal hate crime trial. Greg McMichael reversed course late Thursday after the trial judge rejected the terms of an agreement federal prosecutors had reached with him and his son, Travis McMichael. That deal was met with passionate objections by Arbery's parents. Travis McMichael was scheduled to appear in court Friday morning to announce his decision after being warned by the judge that she would not guarantee their sentence if they chose to plead guilty. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Captain Maybury Salisbury Kirkconnell, OBE JP, 1931 to 2002. Captain Maybury's career in public service began as a young man when he received medical treatment and would spend his school holidays assisting the local doctor on Cayman Brac. He was one of the pioneers of Cayman Brac Power and Light Company, Faith Hospital, and Kirkconnell Community Care Center. He was a deacon at his church and often served as lay pastor, an opportunity he cherished. He was also a master mariner. Captain Maybury was elected to the Legislative Assembly in 1980 and served for 20 years. In 1996, he was elected Speaker, the second person to hold the post, and the first sitting MLA to be elected to the position. He did not seek re-election in 2000, but later accepted the legislators' unanimous call to return for another term as Speaker. He retired in 2001. Captain Maybury treasured his years in public service and lived by his motto, country before self. Although he and his wife, Marilyn Nee Parchman, had no children, they raised a grandniece, Otelia McKeever Scott, and Captain Maybury helped several Brac young people to obtain a higher education. Captain Maybury, Salisbury, Kirkconnell.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more listeners.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if I might, and you will guide me and allow me, when our community is able to draw alongside our children and through and with their parents, celebrate and showcase the successes so that we see that indeed hard work and sacrifice and service bring great dividends. As parents, Robin and Lana Jarvis, thank you very much for coming aboard. Robin, we tried to play football.
Yeah, we did, long time
ago, all right? And we had fun. I don't think either of us dreamed that we would be Pele, although maybe at night we did, but we were smart enough not to say so publicly.
Right.
And your son's success, I'll say to you what I recall. You taking him along, and if I'm not mistaken, the golf clubs were taller than he was in some instances.
Right.
And now, he is, well, a strapping young man. What, 7'4", I think it is? Close about?
Takes after his dad.
After his mother, you mean? All right. So as we talk about Aaron's success, and we've seen it, we've heard it, we've recognized the public acknowledgement, even from government, from others. But let's talk about it from the parental perspective, if you would. Not just the joy that you feel and the pride, but that journey, so that other parents appreciate that, whether it's music tutoring, whether it's math instruction, whether it's coming to their games on the weekends and cheering. And if I could, through you, as employers and as co-workers, to be supportive of our employees and our co-workers when they're leaving to go to the child's recital, going to the school program, to the afternoon game, to Saturday morning, to understand that this doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't happen one time. So with great deference to your wonderful wife, Robin, let's start with you. I mean, as a dad, there's a certain pride that we have in our children. We never gave birth to them, but boy, sometimes when they succeed, we go, that's my boy.
Yes, you do feel a bit of that.
Yeah.
But you have to keep your feet on the ground and just say, there's still a lot of hard work ahead for Aaron, and you can enjoy where he's got to at this point, but don't wait too long on that. You're going to move on to the next point, move on to the next, and keep trying to get better and work hard. So you can enjoy it for a while, but don't get wrapped up in it too much.
What is it our parents used to say? Never rest on your laurels, right? So, Lana, from that perspective, mothers, I think, are not just nurturing, but they always that one to nudge, right? She laughs.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Not only was I parenting Aaron, I was also a friend. So I
thought you were going to say your parenting, Robin.
So
she gave up on me.
So sometimes when he feel he had failed a tournament or he just didn't know how to move on, I then jump into the shoes of being a friend and pushed him in a way where a friend would say, "Oh, come on, put that behind you. Let's move on." And there's more to come,
right.
And parenting while is determination, perseverance, and commitment.
Yeah.
And so it's a difference.
And maybe if I remember, we'll come back to that role as parent, friend, confidant, motivator, coach, physician. I mean, all those roles and has to be wear simultaneously. But Robin, pause for a second. You said we'll take and we celebrate and enjoy this success, but recognizing that it's just a pause, take it in to recognize the path you take it. But there are some of us who do not allow ourselves to do that, and sadly there are even some of us who we won this year's championship. We may have gotten a gold medal, we may have gotten if you're a musician, a platinum record. I'm not sure if they make records anymore, and that's it, one and done, and we don't go on. And then there are the Michael Jordans and the Rolling Stones and others that, what do you mean I can't get fifth of these? This is just the first one. They keep going. Where is that balance?
That's right. Now, where Aaron is at the moment, he's really just starting out. He's got into college golf. He's a freshman at UNLV, playing his first year college golf. Very competitive. Division 1A golf is so competitive. So he has a lot to learn to play in a lot more tournaments, bigger tournaments, to go to where he wants to go, which is one day is to play professionally. But he's a ways off from that. So, again, a lot of hard work between now and to get where he wants to go.
I think of men like him and the student athlete, even the musician. I remember when I had hair and much younger, some would say even handsome. There was a chap in university, Lasting Carruthers, never forget, who invited me out to play golf. Now, I did have an affinity and appreciation for it. And unlike most of my contemporaries, I actually saw the game as strategic and difficult, not a game that was just simply you out there having fun. It was very, very intense. You had to be athletic. You had to understand so much. Is it that many of us see golf as this thing that is just fun and doesn't involve any level of intellect, strategy, ability, and the like?
Well, it's a game for all levels.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, I play golf. I play for fun. I was not very good, but we played a lot. We enjoyed ourselves with your friends. But if you want to play the game at a higher level, it then takes a lot of skill, hard work, fitness, and dedication.
Okay,
to do that. Yeah.
If I could, and I want not only to honestly show my absolute respect and appreciation for you as parents and the wider community, showing us as a community as parents what we need to continue to do, but more importantly, us as that particular young person. That it doesn't matter whether you want to be a sailor or a golfer. You want to be the marble champion, the domino king, basketball, football, whatever you want to. That despite coming from a small place with only a few people, you can still attain international acclaim and be successful.
Of course.
I say that not to be overly offensive. The editorial in the Cayman Compass, I've said this so many times, way back when it was written and said, well, we should never expect as a small nation to amount to anything because we don't have enough people. That was one of the most offensive comments I've ever read, because it said to everybody, whether you came from India or China, or whether you were born in West Bay, whether your population is 1 in a billion or you only 1 in 500, that you couldn't be anything because you were from this place. Yet, through you guys, you've shown that this could be the next Jack Nicklaus. You just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know, and I think you always got to be positive, not negative on these things.
Yeah.
I mean, for Aaron, to me, it comes down to a couple of basic principles. The first is work hard. Second is be humble.
Okay.
Always be humble. Third is respect people. Always respect people. And the fourth is do not get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
And I think if you stick to those principles and you have a bit of talent, I think you can go as far as the talent can take you if you stick to that.
So for public disclosure and preparing for today's discussion, not just reading and want to know about Aaron and his success and his journey, not just having if I may say, a friendship with you guys, even from a distance and knowing as part of the community what has transpired. But I reached out to some educators, and with their consent, I can share that their view, now it's not an exhaustive view, it's not empirical, it's just something that they have experienced. Some who are still educated in our system, some who have retired, some who have left education and taken up other positions. And they have shared, right, independently, that one of the greatest shortcomings in our society is that in the formal education system, it's changing. The educators, the administrators, and the parents don't see sport and the arts and the like as viable professions or really worth the investment. They're more of a recreation. So much so that if I had recorded all of them, but for the voices and the accents and intonation and stuff, almost verbatim, they've all said the same thing, that child who goes to something outside of the classroom is seen as a hobby and almost a waste of time, but for the physical activity or the well-roundedness, but it amounts to nothing. And that's an indictment on us. And I've said that because they've all given me permission to say that. And I was flabbergasted, floored. Lana says,
well, we always look at sports as a all-around person, golf is very highly on the respect and the principles, the everything that's based on what
fair play and integrity and stuff.
Exactly,
right? Okay.
yeah. But not only golf, but we feel like when Aaron was playing football as well, you played as a team.
Right.
As well. So Aaron knew how to play as a team and as an individual, and that's what we think formed him as a person he is today, and us behind him. So I think sports can do a lot.
Yeah. Right.
And I would just like to add as well that there's now opportunities for a lot of Caymanian kids coming out of school to go to college and play sport and get a scholarship and get the education. So the sport and education is combined, is linked in together, and there's more and more opportunities, I feel, for Cayman kids to do that.
And thank you for emphasizing that, right? But not to build. Sorry, Lana, go ahead.
Yeah, but what I want to follow up with Robin's comment. Also, the athletes have to maintain a certain GPA,
right,
in order to stay on the team. So, not only if that's pressure both on academic and athletic. But Aaron had a GPA of 3.88 a first semester freshman, you know, and a dean's list. So he knew how important that was to stay on the team as well.
In order
so
to
that's discipline there.
Mm-hmm.
And to
So
retain your
it's
scholarship,
both.
yes.
You have to retain the scholarship with the GPA.
And I appreciate you sharing that from the personal experience. And so just that you appreciate, again, with these individuals' consent. They say, as educators and as parents, they recognize the student athlete and the discipline, the time management, the importance of now balancing. One of them who is much more sort of acquainted with the US NCAA and their recent, I'd say recent, maybe in the last 10, 15 years, revision of their guidelines relative to the student athlete. But they say that in the Cayman context, their personal experience has been that despite all of these benefits the sport brings to the making the student well-rounded, the approach in practice isn't to encourage sport despite the potential for scholarship, because it impedes on the academic performance, and it's sort of like my takeaway. Oh, it's more like a hobby, like, you know, it's a little thing you do to keep you fit and active and build, you know, character and so on. But end of the day, spend more time studying and less time, you know, foolishness. And I thought, wow, that is what was shared with me between when we agreed to come on and a few hours ago before I came on air. And that was shocking.
Yeah, it really is, they go together.
Yeah,
they really
I
go
agree.
hand in hand.
I agree.
And I think they should both be encouraged. And I think you can do both. You can do well academically and do well with the sport as well.
But also, right, if you are going to play on a university team, no matter what sport it is, they provide help. Like with a counselor or with an advisor, and they balance your schedule for you. So they want to see you succeed on both ends.
Yes.
So it's almost as if you were the fly on the wall in that discussion. So knowing that firsthand, the student athlete to the young lady that's playing basketball, the young boy who's playing football, or the other way around, knowing the demands on them and knowing the support system, similar to what we were having in the conversation earlier, that the school provides for the team, the counselors and the like. They said that was the fundamental thing that is lacking. And this is why when I look at the two of you and the wider extended family, the support, the sacrifice, the financial commitment, that time when you could be doing something much more enjoyable and you're probably exhausted as parents, as working professionals, but the child needs something, right? And they say that's what's lacking. That's one of the key ingredients that is missing in the Cayman context, that support, that encouragement. But you guys have provided it.
All the way without looking back. Yeah, we looked forward and said, you know, and we enjoy doing it. We never think of it like that way anyway, right? We just
it's just what we do. And it's not just our children. We got involved with the Primary League football with Neil Murray.
Right.
We helped coach. We helped a bit with the Golf Association for the junior program. So you see it with the other children, other kids coming through these sports programs, and you get enjoyment out of them doing well as well, not just your own children.
Robin and Lana, we have a caller joining us. We're celebrating and showcasing not just Aaron's success, but if they would allow me to say as parents, we're celebrating your commitment and what a wider community can and should be doing to enjoy the success of our young people. Because it isn't only about putting us on a map, it's about them. All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green, and good afternoon to your distinguished guest here.
I'm blessed to you, sir.
Yeah, it's a comment highly the young man who did so well with the golf. I guess the golf and you were talking about, and I mean, I guess his ultimate goal is to join the PGA Tour. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, that is correct. He wants to play professionally, so that would be
naturally
on the PGA Tour.
So we're getting right to my point. The major problem we have in Cayman is that we are not showing that they can become professionals, and we are not willing to pay our people in sports. I've been saying this for 40 years. With soccer or football, you know, playing it. Yes, if you call it that.
Yes,
and when I soccer, it's differentiated, because what I'm going to say is relevant to that differentiation also.
Yes, sir.
We have not started to pay them. And around us, whenever we do any international games with the soccer, around us, all those teams, the members are paid, they're professionals. And, with Honduras, with Cuba, they're professionals. Whether they get paid highly or, we know in England, the whole of Europe is big involved in it. And these guys are earning up to £180,000 or dollars a week in England, in the high class professionals in the ultimate tier of it. But even before they get there, they're still earning a good sum of money and all that. And they're not overly educated at all. Please don't tell me that, because that's just not true. And the thing is, we're asking guys to pay to do an 8 to 5 job or 9 to 5 job, and then come out and train to be the best in Cayman without any form of compensation, not even sometimes to give them an insurance policy. And this is not conducive to getting anywhere. Kudos to Coach Vutogaro with starting and pushing the basketball programs. He knows where these guys can go and probably get into the NBA, which we know some of these guys earn like average $33,000 a game, 80 games a year. You can figure out that kind of money, and that's not the big high-end boys. The same goes for the football, the American football, which we could use here. It's quite an inexpensive sport. I lived on work and watched it, so I know what I'm saying. Never played it. I was too old for that, but watching, I'm very, very interested in it. And what I've always said is that we have some top-class 100-meter athletes here, and we do know that's what they use as pass receivers. Just for an example, in American football, and they start out with salaries of $300,000-$400,000 a year and much, much more. This is the point I'm trying to make. If we were to encourage, we know that maybe these guys will not end up in the top tier of the Usain Bolts and the other guys and so forth in the very top tier. But they can end up being very, very quick and very fast, and that's what they're looking for. Encourage it. Why don't we start American football? We play with the tag football and so forth, which is a great start, but put it as a sport in the schools and so forth, and this is it. People can sign, documents that would eliminate any indemnity on the government. And those things can easily be arranged, but put it as a sport, because we saw where America is right next door. You can get involved, you can get there, and these boys, I'm often seeing them get a few $1,000s a year and represent Cayman, we say, and then they're finished at 33, 34 as, high class sprinters, but they could be in the United States playing football and earning big, big money. This is just what I'm saying. Until you make it that, as you started out quite right, the St. Pierre's are saying, well, why fool with this thing? It's a hobby. No, it won't be a hobby if you're gonna get paid. Thank you very much for listening to me, and continue with the good work you're doing here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. As we go into the break, Robin, any comments you want to share to that?
I'll just comment to that quarter. Yes, it does take a lot of financial commitment, and it's not easy sometimes. And I can imagine with some families that have good athletes in the family, it's not an easy thing to finance.
Easy road, no.
To get them to the next level.
Okay. Lana?
I agree with you. I mean, not that we again looking for anything, but we did it because we wanted to, and we didn't look back. We looked forward. We didn't think of anything like that. We just saw the compassion and the commitment that he wanted to do. And Aaron, he went from football to golf, and that was a huge shock to us. Yeah. And we just looked at each other and said, "We'll support you." That's what we did.
All right. So when we come after the break, let's talk about that, because support seems to be the word of the day, but it's something that we band about sometimes too easily. And I'll be guided by you, because I think that as a society we don't appreciate that support needs to come from all of us. I said earlier, from the coworker to the employer, from your family, right? And is it that it should be a community investment? We've heard it so often. It takes a village to raise a child. I think that was initially publicly attributed to the former U.S. President Hillary Clinton by default. Some people are going to laugh at that. But the notion that, are we really meaning that when we say it? Or is it just lip service? And then we can ask you, looking forward, when we look back and reflect, well, what are the examples and what are the things that you would maybe advise other parents when it comes to offering that support? All right, I'm honored that Robin and Lana both would share, not just as proud parents, but maybe put themselves out there so that other parents can be inspired and to see what can come when you love, nurture, and support our children. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
How do I lose weight and keep it off?
I can't just eat salads. Have you tasted my family's rundown? And what about the turtle meat?
These are common questions I hear from people when it comes to weight loss. Learn how to lead a healthier lifestyle, the one you desire, and successfully manage your weight with my proven step-by-step process and my new book, New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery.
Working with Donna has helped me create a healthier lifestyle. Old habits are no longer a challenge. If you're looking for help in managing life, reducing weight, and maintaining a lifestyle that fits your wellness goals, Donna Mitchell is the coach you need.
New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery has been tried and tested on hundreds of participants in the Cayman Islands and is available on Amazon and Kindle. Order your copy today. Visit inspiredwithdonna.com for more details.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Are you a recipient of the Tourism Stipend Program? The Ministry of Border Control and Labor requires all recipients to complete a survey to reconfirm their contact information. The survey can be found on gov.ky/labor/stipend. The survey must be completed no later than Tuesday, February 8th. Contact 649-6932 or email stipend@gov.ky with any questions.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us in the studio, Robin and Lana Jarvis, as not just proud parents of Ireland, but also as stalwarts within our community. And through you, maybe we can not only draw alongside and celebrate and support, but we can start to appreciate that increasingly within our small jurisdiction, more of our students are attaining that level of access and recognition, and they can see that what our parents told us, with sacrifice comes success. You put your work in, you might get something out. If I can then ask then, to the caller's point, well, before I do, anything you guys want to say or ask before because I appreciate you allowing us just to have a discussion as if we were around the table. The only thing missing now is a piece of cassava cake. And that would just be perfect. Lana, I should have called you early. You could arrange that for us. I'm sure you know someone.
Yeah, sure.
But to the caller's point, and what he said, I then asked myself, well, is he also saying that we now expand the scope of sports that are being played and offered? So he referenced American football, right? The team that wins on the Super Bowl Sunday aren't world champions because he's only played in one part of the world, but that's a different story. It's not the World Cup. I should behave.
But it's been more international every year.
But it is. And that is why I joke and say, because the caller is right. Should we then look at the offerings not just as a recreational thing, but as a thing that allows more of our students, and given that the US is a place that some of us will look to as universities, to play. How many of us would have thought the golf would have been something 30 years ago for our students, but yet the interest was there?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is that not to be discouraging, but to get to the top level is hard.
Oh yeah.
But if you can play college sport, which is a very good level, but you're getting your education at the same time, and you are getting your degree and you're doing well in your sport, to me it's a win-win situation for sure.
And you come away with discipline, respect, teamwork. You come away with something that perhaps in you tells you that you are capable. It's validation. It's pride. Right, Lana?
Of course. I mean, Aaron had many lessons learned that it doesn't fall on his lap. He has to work harder for it. And he could have a bad tournament. Not every tournament is a winning one. He could have a bad round, and then he learns from that, and he has to keep moving on. And he also put in perspective of practicing more hours, putting what he needs to put into, going to his coaches, all of that, especially the mental part of it.
So let me then ask, we often hear about time management, right? We know that the student athlete comes away with a sense of humility, discipline, good time management, organization skills, all these things. So as an employer, man, that's what you're looking for. But as an adolescent, for argument's sake, you're up, and I want to ask you so that we understand. You're in a space where your friends want to do things, yourself might want to do things, but you have to choose between a Friday night playing video games or watching a movie or whatever it is that we do these days versus, tomorrow morning I got a game, I need to get rested, or I need to actually work on this thing. We're willing to do that for the student who is academically inclined more so to spend time, studying and experiment with the science project than we are with from what I'm told, with the athlete who says, I gotta get rested because tomorrow the game, or I can't come with you guys today because I got practice. Well, you had practice yesterday, and I got practice tomorrow too. So with that, how does that play out for the young adolescent when the friends are out, being young?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for the student athlete, but if they're dedicated, they will choose the right option most of the time. I mean, they are college students. They still need to enjoy themselves and socialize and experience the college life. But because they are on the scholarship, they have to have more discipline.
But even before they get to the college, they're high school, they're primary school, and I'm wondering to what extent we as a community, not just the parents and the nurturing, loving family and close friends, but as a community offering up that support to say, hey, you know what, this is something that you seem to have a passion for. There'll be, other Friday nights, there'll be other things, but somehow there's only a 13th birthday once, there's only a 16th birthday once, there's only, whatever that thing is, and that young person may not necessarily, feel that they're being supported by their friends and contemporaries when they're is that something that is challenging to navigate as parents and as a young person, you think, Ms. Lana?
We we had quite a balance.
Mm-hmm.
More like when he started golf here, it wasn't as competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to go overseas for the tournaments and so forth. So when we took time out to take him to tournaments on a weekend, we weren't late at night. We was in bed early. We got up early enough, had good breakfast, get him down to the range early enough to warm up. You know, those things that are accountable for a good performance.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew that, okay, if I'm going away this weekend, I have to take it all week now and go down to the golf course and practice there. And then that whole week would be just golf. Right. So there are, border lines, and that he was very disciplined with.
But it's hard to say. Every child will be different.
Yeah.
Every student athlete will be different. But a lot of them have mostly outgoing personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they kind of deal with that. Okay, that they always have friends, and the friends will always be there. Plus, it's also part of their maturity. That's where the maturity comes in.
Mm-hmm.
They know they can go out with their friends on sort of Saturday night, but Friday night they got a big tournament round. The next day they have to stay home or have a quiet night. That's all part of the maturity and the sacrifice that they have to make to move on to the next level.
So let me ask two things now, because it comes back to support. Committed, involved parents who are not just nurturing, who have prepared to make the sacrifice, because the child is going to get up, start of the morning for something. That parent also has to get up. Even if the child is of the age to drive or is going to be driven by the coach or somebody else, chances are, we've been told, the involved parent has a child who is much more successful, or the child who's much more successful has the involved parent. So we as parents now, we pawn our children off sometimes because we're busy with work, with other things, for different reasons, on somebody else. How do we know as parents do what one of my sisters always says? You can't be a lazy parent. You be involved. You be there. Where did we get that? How did we get to that space as the parents now? Because we point fingers, right? Let's look at that.
I mean, we appreciate it's not easy for some parents.
Mm-hmm.
Parents have two jobs. Their time is limited, so it can be difficult for a lot of the parents. But what I say is, we see many sunrises driving to the golf course.
So there's a benefit that you can pay for, right?
Exactly.
All right. So let's ask the other thing, because I think it all comes down to cost, financial cost, your time cost, which is the most important. For some of us, whether it's a pair of new football boots, golf is perceived to be a sport that involves a bit of financial expenditure. There's travel. Some things are not within reach because we're not financially able. We're not willing to make the sacrifice. We can't make the sacrifice. I mean, Slana, let's go to Robin. Go to the tall one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's already counted.
You see, that's what I didn't want to do, because I'm going to get numbers. Okay, Robin, talk to me.
Yeah, it does take sacrifice. And again, as I said just now, it's not easy for a lot of parents to actually finance. And that's maybe where the community or the government can maybe help out in some ways for those who do need the help financially to move on to the next level.
I'll be mindful how I say this. I seldom, if ever, name drop. But just as individuals, there just happen to be two of the cabinet ministers now, the Honourable Minister Eubanks and Honourable Minister Bush, and through their portfolios relative to sports and human investment and all that stuff, probably starting to publicly hear the commitment in investment in our people. And I say that to ask us as corporate entities, as individuals, whether through our time, our talent, or our treasure, as Ms. Conlabas-Deo would always say, I'm wondering if we are as appreciative of the importance to give money to all sorts of charities as it is also to give to scholarship, to bursaries, to instruction, to providing everything, and stop labeling, we're going to give money for this at-risk program or this inner city this, and realize that you may have $1 billion, but that $1 you spend on a candy is $1 that you can't spend on something else, because that dollar is already committed to that thing. Okay, $1 out of $1 billion really doesn't amount to anything. But that dollar to some people is $1 that they don't have. So how do we get that in that community involvement so that we see that this is a social, societal implication of that investment, Robin? You're the economist.
I can't answer that question.
No, but that's an economist problem.
Yeah. But as you said, sort of the ministers, there seems to be some focus on this now, which is good.
Yes.
So as long as there's a desire and an appetite to do it, then you find a way to try and do the best you can.
And I'm so honestly, I'm so grateful and proud of you as parents, right? The success of our children, phenomenal. That's why we do what we do. But I'm mindful. I want us as parents, more of us, to understand that there's a partnership, that offspring is the focus, right? Let's take this call. And well, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Sterling Green.
Yes, sir.
It's me again. Just what I heard you say a while ago, corporate commitment. Let us face facts. The whole world looks at us, and let's not beat around the bush, as a very, very rich country. We know sort of otherwise, if you take the right perspective. The thing is, there are companies here that can easily afford to back these teams that we have here. The soccer teams, that they do the same thing happens in other countries where these companies and they're privately owned and so forth, and with the NFL and the NBA and so forth, and that's it's privately company owned, and they earn tremendous amounts of money and they pay their players. The same thing could happen here if we were to be harsh and pressuring these companies. They give money, like you say, to charities, some 50,000, 5,000, which is a mere pittance, when you realize the salaries that the big boys are earning in the companies. Let us not even debate that fact. So therefore, let us say they can give to these clubs and so forth, and we have the money flowing there to pay these players and let them be professionals. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
If the money is the greatest enticement for anything. Let us stop beating around the bush with that. It's simple. And this is the reason why parents say, no, don't go out there and waste time on the football field, don't go out there and waste time with this. But because there's no money in it, you're not going to get paid, go to learn banking, go to learn be a lawyer, doctor, an accountant and stuff. No. If we was to encourage and pay them, that they see that these guys are earning some money, there would be a different mindset. Believe me, money is that greatest of all enticements. We can say we don't believe so, we want to shy away from that fact. That is just factual, and that is how it is. So we have to start paying these people. It has to be professional. And we can do it, and they can go to college and get their scholarships as you're doing and pushing and all that sort of thing. But let's face facts. At the end of the day, it has to be that this thing can earn money. There are companies here that can back it up. So we have the golden opportunity. It just takes that word I always say, courage. If they have to be forced to do it, so be it. So be it. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you very much, and I'm grateful to you guys. Let's take the final break for a couple of seconds and come back and we'll conclude our discussion. I'm so grateful you take time out of your, despite being proud parents, you're still working parents as well.
Pleasure.
That's a balance that we got to strike.
Unfortunately.
Hey. All right, let's pause and take a break. And when we come back, we invite you to rejoin us.
Are you a recipient of the Tourism Stipend Program? The Ministry of Border Control and Labor requires all recipients to complete a survey to reconfirm their contact information. The survey can be found on gov.ky/labor/stipend. The survey must be completed no later than Tuesday, February 8th. Contact 649-6932 or email stipend@gov.ky with any questions.
A couple means two. Whether it's your spouse, significant other, or bestie, couples who sweat together stay together. King Sports Center is offering a gym and bowling special this Valentine period. Get 2 annual Powerhouse gym memberships for $750 starting from February 6th and ending on the 14th. Receive a free self-defense class for 2 upon purchase. At Kingpin Bowling, couples can get 2 games and 2 glasses of wine for only $40. The bowling offer is from February 11th to the 13th only. For more info, call us at 946-5464. That's 946-5464. King's Sports Center, your second home for fitness and recreation, celebrating 20 years of service.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for listening. And thanks to Robin and Lana, as Aaron Jarvis's success should inspire, motivate, and encourage all of us as parents and educators to look at our children or students and to say, you know what, we can attain success not only internationally but serve as role models to our own that encourage that level of sacrifice and discipline. I hope you don't mind, and I say this sincerely, you inspire, and it just reminds us as parents as to why we sacrifice. And not just parents that are biological or adoptive, but those who serve as, let's say, mentors, but the big brothers and big sisters, who come out and volunteer. Those, volunteer coaches. Neil Murray, I think, is probably one of the great unsung heroes.
Oh, very much. I agree. Yeah.
And I look at him and. His wife would say, it's a good thing he's not handsome because she wouldn't see him. I just teasing.
I agree with that.
You agree with that? Well, we have to, right? But this is where the community success rests in. So, in closing our discussion, and I certainly want to wrap it up with a congratulations again. Many of our children have interests in different sports. Many of our children, thankfully, some would say unfortunately, are good at any sport or any activity that they put their hands to. But at some point, the child says, I like this thing. It may be fishing, right? And they want to become, that next great fisherman the globe over, right? But how do you, encourage the child into that thing, especially if it's the thing that you think, well, boy, you're not playing football, you're not playing in a sport, right? And B, get that child to that level. I mean, Robin, respectfully to your wife and the mother, but what's your take? Because we kind of sometimes encourage and nurture.
It's not easy. I mean, we are football people, as you mentioned earlier. We play football here. We go way back, and everyone was playing football in the Premier League,
Yeah.
and he was doing okay. And then he took up golf because his older brother was playing golf, who's a big influence on Evan, by the way. And he really took a liking to it, and he had a passion. And then we got to a cross lines where his passion for football was waning, but his passion for golf was growing. And I was looking at this saying, it's football, that's our game, that's what we do, that's what we play. We grew up with football. But I had to realize golf was taking over, and I had to, although I like golf, golf we had to then support. And it was a difficult decision in your mind to do that. But it was this is where his passion was, and we just got to go with it, and support it if you can.
Well, I'm proud of you guys for working. I will not hopefully infer, assume in any way, saying that I don't understand or is even disrespectful. But I can only imagine that as committed, devoted parents, balancing your work, family life, being so giving and so sacrificing, that there are probably untold expenses, physical, financial, and all these other things, even social. Sorry, we can't come to that birthday party. So what if it's your 50th or your 25th anniversary? Because child needs this, child has that. And so hopefully we as a community are loving and respectful and accommodating to you and parents like you for that sacrifice and commitment.
Okay, thank you.
You know what, man, this is a beautiful place. And sometimes we talk about finding a needle in a haystack. But flip it around. What if you're like the needle and you're the only needle? There's no haystack, there's no other needle. It's right there. And we ignore it. Cayman is small. It should be easier to nurture, to identify, and to support. And yet we castigate, malign, chastise, and do all these horrible things to each other. Wow. Someone needs to slap. Just kidding.
It was a journey from Aaron, because he and I went back in the middle of the pandemic.
We had to go back to get him recruited.
Yes, we did. Wow. And I, at that point, I'd given up my employment to go with him. And you can see in his face that, where am I going from here? Because there's a pandemic, how a coach is going to watch me, etc. So we just got on the flight, and I said, Aaron, there's no turning back. There's no looking back. We're going to move forward. We're going to do this. And that's exactly what happened. And we just got in our little bubble, and we just went for it. And I said, any kid who has the passion for it and the support, do not give up.
You said it a couple of times. You've alluded to it in our discussions. Let me ask you a few things, not just the way forward and what you would want to share relative to the family and Aaron's. I'll leave that to you. But specifically, what do you say to the parents now who are listening, whether the single parents, the doting parents who are a partnership, or the doting parents who have competing objectives, but to the coaches and to the teachers and to the adults who should be playing that role of mentoring, nurturing, and so on? How do you say to them that, don't give up, press on, either the positives as well as watch out for the pitfalls?
I would just say, get involved as a parents and enjoy the journey. Because we are sports people, so we enjoy sports, but it's hard work and commitment. But enjoy it, because it is very enjoyable as well. Watching your children grow up and get better, whatever they're doing.
Thank you, man. And Ms. Lama?
I do agree that we had many times where we had to keep pushing Aaron and say, listen, there's so many more tournaments coming. You're going to improve. You're going to practice, and you just had to be there for them and say, you can do it. You're better than this, or go out and practice some more, whatever it takes.
Just encouragement.
Just encouragement, and don't be negative around them.
That's it. Negativity is something that I find that difficult to be around. I know. But you guys are positive people, man.
Oh gosh.
It must be the salt air. But thank you again for joining us. And I trust that as a community, we not only draw alongside and support, assist and help in every which way. And as we close our discussion, let's take one call as we go to our phones. Welcome, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to everybody there.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to say that, helping children is one of my biggest desires I have. I've always been a mother of two and helping other people's children. Up till yesterday, boy, and I stopped. And I know he's on drugs, and well, he looked like he wasn't too bad yesterday. But I always stop and talk to those boys, beg them to get off of that drug, because it's a hard thing for them to make in life, make something out of their lives by using these things. And I talked to him, and he promised me that he's going to do better. And even for Christmas, one of them that I keep talking to all the time, he went to school with my children. I know him so good. And he sent me Christmas greetings, just to know that I keep talking to him and monitoring him, trying to make them better children, And that's how I feel that we should all take interest in other people's children, not just our own. We should take interest in these other children that can't help themselves. As good as mine. I tried with mine, but yours might not be as good. But I should take interest in that child to help him become something different, And this one that sent me Christmas greetings for Christmas. He was a naughty child in school, but he finally decided he ran away and he's a great boy now, great man. But he don't forget that I helped brought him through. And there's another one there, and everywhere that he see me, he always hits me, saying, Miss Lucille, you have brought my life through. You helped me in my life. He says, I thank you for it very much. So that's the way that parents should be, or people should be. They should help other people's children, in life, not just your own, other ones that cannot help themselves the way that you can help yours. Try to help the other ones too in life. So you all have a good day, and Lord bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too. It's, as I listen to the caller, I think she tells us quite evidently that we are our brother's keeper. We are, the surrogate parents, and even that involve committed parents like you, who may have extended family and friends who draw alongside. Nurturing positive, genuine support, you can never get enough of it. I hope that we are able to draw alongside each other, and again, publicly congratulations. Publicly very proud of what we are doing as a community with loving parents, man.
Thank you so much for
thank you
having
for
us.
having us on today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're most welcome. It is an honor. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And Darren, if it's okay, all of us out there, let's love one another. Pray, be spiritually blessed, be willing to serve and sacrifice each other so that we celebrate. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Get some cassava cake.
Thank you to you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to pause and take a break. Our friends from the HSA hematologists will join us, Dr. Martinez. So stay tuned. We'll talk today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government released updated COVID stats for Monday and new figures for Tuesday of this week. There were 329 new cases reported on January 31st, 124 for February 1st. The Sister Islands also noted 17 new cases since the last report. In international news, Austria became the first country in Europe to introduce a national COVID-19 vaccine mandate for adults on Friday after its president signed it into law. Austria's sweeping measures will see those without a vaccine certificate or an exemption potentially slapped with initial fines of 600 euros. Checks to see if the mandate is being adhered to begin from March 15th. The leaders of Russia and China pushed back against U.S. pressure on Friday, declaring their opposition to any expansion of NATO and affirming that the island of Taiwan is a part of China, as they met hours before the Winter Olympics kicked off in Beijing. The leaders issued a joint statement highlighting what they called interference in the internal affairs of other states, as both leaders face criticism from Washington over their foreign and domestic policies. And a letter written on behalf of 16 members of the University of Pennsylvania's swim team was sent to the university and the Ivy League on Thursday, asking that they not pursue legal action to challenge the NCAA's new transgender athlete participation policies. The letter was written by Nancy Hogshead McCarr, CEO of Champion Women, and an Olympic champion in swimming on behalf of 60 members of swim team. The NCAA's new policies could potentially block swimmer Leah Thomas from competing in the NCAA championships in March. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
As seniors, we owe it to each other to stay safe and healthy through this pandemic. Let's make sure that our COVID-19 vaccinations are up to date, including getting boosters, and be aware of your surroundings so that we can manage the conditions that make us more vulnerable. Remember, we're in this together, so do your part. Get boosted. You can visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn some more.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And this is truly a beautifully blessed place because we have such a phenomenal resource and almost unfettered access to so much, from our physicians to our policymakers, to our parents, to our principals in our schools. And I'm honored now to be able to welcome Dr. Carmen Martinez, consultant family physician with HSA, with graduate program and degree in hematology. When we hear of cancer, and sometimes that visit to the primary care physician, the family physician, that necessitates a follow-up with the oncologist, and you sit across the table and you get that unsettling report. For many of us, that's it. It's changed our lives. It has weighed on us heavily. But maybe we could start at the beginning, and Dr. Martinez, and get us to a space where, one, we're starting to recognize publicly that we're having more discussions about cancers. 2, with great respect and understanding that it impacts us in a very, very, very significant way. We're no longer whispering the word. We're now seeing that there are things we can do to either prevent, mitigate, certainly manage, and provide a quality of life and happiness as best as possible. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me here. Cancer has become a topic of discussion or conversation pretty much on a daily basis, as we find that the prevalence of cancer is becoming more and more, as tools are becoming more readily available for us as clinicians to be more assertive in our diagnosis. And with all the screening tools that they are available also to detect those cancers, that they can be early prevented. And therefore treat it. We know that cancer is a disease that occurs in the body as response to an abnormal growth of those cells that they go and they invade a specific organ, or they go and they travel to different parts of the body. Important facts about cancer is that annually 9.6 million people died of cancer. A third of those cancers, they can be prevented by strategic measures of just simple screening. So, for example, with the female, we encourage women after the age of 40 to undergo routine mammogram, and if that female have dense breasts, then that's going to be compound or with a ultrasound. Men, that's a very exciting topic, because men has the aversion to go to the physician, and the most common cancer in men is prostate cancer, which these cancers, they can, like I said, they can just be easily detected, and therefore it could be prevented and treated.
Okay, and as you speak to the cancers and the like, it almost evokes in many of us a great fear and the like, and sometimes like we feel a lump or so on, even if there is a tumor. So two things, if I might, we go back to women, and I may not understand it correctly, but fibrous breasts or whatever, we hear that is some of the challenges some women have. Help me to understand it as a man, that I'm respectful, because we have women in their lives, or mothers, daughters, wives, girlfriends, and the like. So is that something, what is that? What does that mean, and what does that mean for the woman who has, is it fibrocystic breast? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, fibrocystic breast. Okay.
So then we know that tumors can be classified as three. You have benign tumor, you have malignant tumor, and you have precancerous. So a benign tumor is usually a tumor that, it is, as the word says, benign. It doesn't offer any concern, and it's a slow-growing type of tumor. You have those premalignant tumors and those precancerous tumors, which, as the word says, is a condition that involves abnormal cells, which may have the potential to develop into something malignant. But the attention is paid to those tumors that they are malignant. And the word malignant tumors is just is a fasting growing tumor that has the ability to grow, to spread, and therefore to destroy all the adjacent organs or the neighboring tissue. These cells then, they have the ability to break down in small particles, and they go to the different parts or the other organs. So that's where the disease is called then metastasis. So that's when we know that the cancer has metastasized to somewhere else.
That's what I struggle with, metastasized. Okay. We would understand, appreciate malignant and precancerous. But for some of us, it's benign. We may think, it's benign, it's not a problem. With great respect, is benign, or can a benign tumor be a problem? Should we ignore it? It's been tested and removed, or what have you?
Well, it all depends. If it's a benign tumor, is sitting in a place or in a part of your body that is giving you trouble, then the best thing is for you to consult with your physician and then have the evaluation of this tumor to be done in order for then to have a proper referral to the service there, where they will discuss if this is a tumor that it is benign, causing compression somewhere that it needs to be removed. But my theory is that if it's not troubling you, you leave it alone.
Okay, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
There you go.
We hear a lot about cancers. We see the public education and highlighting different types of cancers. What are some of the different types of cancers?
So we have cancers that depends of where they originate from, where do they come from. So we have cancers that they are, like the word says, carcinoma, which originates from the epithelial layer of that organ, or that layer that covers that organ. That's where it is usually originate, and it's called carcinoma. Then you have the sarcoma. Sarcoma is the type of tumor, the type of cancer that originate from musculoskeletal tissue, from bone or collagen. So you have those sarcoma, those bone tumors. You have tumors that they originate from the blood itself. So you have the leukemias, or you have the myelomas, or you have those cancers that they originate from your lymph nodes, which is called your lymphoma. And then you have cancer that originate on your, either your brain or your spinal cord. So those are the most common type of cancers.
Yeah. And as you share that, and I'm listening, I'm thinking to those who are either through family, friends, or ourselves, would recognize that some of the words themselves are daunting. They're presenting, like you said, myeloma, multiple myeloma, and you go to the doctor and you got carcinoma, this and that. Is it then that part of us as the patient, we need to sort of educate ourselves and become comfortable with the terminology and maybe inquire the physician so that we have a better understanding to be an active partner in the management? Or should we just, let fate take its course and allow the professionals to do?
No, well, we know that, as I say initially, 1/3 of the cancers it can be prevented.
Okay.
So we have modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors that we can, try to work on to prevent the development of cancer. So we know, and studies have shown that alcohol is associated with many cancers, with throat and mouth cancer, esophageal, stomach, colorectal cancer, and more so with liver cancer. We know that smoking is accounted for more than 80 cases of cancer out there. So smoking carries all high mortality, but the most common cancer associated with smoking is lung cancer. We have, sedentarism, like inactivity, lack of exercise. We know that exercise itself promote good lifestyle measures. They also reduce the risk of you getting cancer. Overweight, we know that being overweight or obese, it also increases that body ability to, get or predispose individuals to get cancer. When you have exposed to radiation, so sometimes too much CT scans or investigations that require radiation, they are associated with it. So there are some also carcinogens, which they also can trigger the formation of those abnormal cells.
Okay. So Dr. Martinez, as we come back from the break, you referenced, 1/3 being preventable. You alluded to lifestyle and some of the causes of cancer. And so when we come back, maybe we can talk about that and some of those things, because I'm thinking that if as a people, we can look at our life, our diet, our exercise, and even a sedentary lifestyle and say, hey, I can do this, and this can impact this in a positive way.
Correct.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. This partnership with HSA is phenomenal, and to have, physicians like Dr. Martinez join us makes it that much easier to learn. So please rejoin us after the break.
Thank you.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky. The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Cancer, like what?
Good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And honored to have Dr. Martinez join us from the HSA. And the discussion of cancers at that time, I think, is challenging. Not just, I would say this respectfully, from observation, and you correct me, Dr. Martinez, more challenging for us as the family member of the cancer patient than it is some, what I've observed, patients. They're taking the stride. I mean, they seem to have a resolve and a resilience, and they spend more time trying to comfort you as a family member when it's you that should be, you think, comforting them as they go through their prescribed treatments and the like. And they're amazing. I mean, you see them making jokes to try to cheer us up. You see them doing things, and you go, what a wonderful spirit. And I commend, I think, partly that love that they have, but also the love and support that they get from you and your team and the physicians in general to walk with them. So it's love.
Getting a diagnosis of having cancer a lot of the times is like people associate that with like this is it, end of life.
Mm-hmm.
We're finding that people are getting to live longer now because there are new treatments that they are available there to offer more. To prolong the life expectancy of each individual. But it comes with a price that, that is not a cure, but it will require more surveillance, more doctor's visits. And this is when family becomes very important, where you need that support to go through the process.
Yeah. I mean, there's that word again, support. Our first discussion, we hope for today, support. I would honor that Robin and Lana Jarvis would join us because as parents, and the community support. Now with medical diagnosis, support, financial, physical, emotional, the whole. But then sometimes you ignore things because we don't know. If I can, with great respect, are there particular signs and symptoms of cancer? And if I might even add, is one type of cancer showing a different sign and symptom versus another type? I mean, help us to understand.
So, symptoms of cancer are very unspecific. You have constitutional symptoms. In some manifest with, weight loss, decreased appetite. Sometimes you have unexpected fevers, but only at night, and dreading sweats. So those are what we call systemic symptoms. And then you have more specific symptoms depending on where the cancer is or where has it gone. So if a patient has I'm not saying that again they're not so specific, but you put the whole clinical picture together. So if a patient has persistent headache, that they have change in quality, intensity, that they are associated with vomiting, the duration, if they happen in the morning. So, as a physician, that raises a concern that, this might be a brain tumor. You can have also patients where they have difficulty swallowing, patients that they experience a lot of nausea and vomiting, which are very common signs and symptoms. Then if the cancer is in the lungs, then you have coughing up of blood or persisting cough that doesn't go away despite of you having treatment. When you have cancer of the stomach, those are really difficult to pinpoint, but they have changes in the bowel habits where you become constipated or you have diarrhea. Then you have, unexpected blood clot, like you appears on your leg, and then it's like, okay, there's no previous history of anything, but that is a sign that the body is dealing with something. So those are symptoms that they are more of a concern. Sometimes you have a sore that won't heal at all. And on a female, then they have, you experience this long, but then you have an associated like nipple discharge or this change on the skin appearance. So that's why it's so important for females, for us to do our monthly, breast examination when we are in the shower, and just to see if there's any change in the density or the texture of our breast.
You see, this is where I think, we hear it's a nice tagline, early detection saves lives, but it's actually true. Getting regular checkups, having that ongoing dialogue with your primary care physician, and appreciating what transpires. But I think sometimes too, just education, that what you should be doing for knowledge that there is access. And this partnership with HSC, I think, helps us as a community to appreciate the significance of having, a very robust healthcare sector. You said at the outset that a third of all the cancers are preventable. That should be encouraging news.
It is.
But are there things that people can do to prevent the risk of cancer? So,
as I mentioned before, you have those modifiable risk factors that you want to make sure that if you have not instituted in your life, then this is the time for you to do so. So, some changes on your diet, some introduction of exercise. I mean, I am an advocate for exercise.
Thank you for doing that.
So exercise is number one. Then, doing your routine medical checkups. According to the United States Staff for Administration, every adult after the age of 40 should undergo routine, yearly screening, age-appropriate screening test. And those goes for, as I mentioned before, female breast examination, mammogram, ultrasound. Men after the age, more so in the Caribbean, black men are higher risk of having prostate cancer. So this screening comes along with some strong family history. So men, to make sure that you visit your physician and you get your prostate examination done. After the age of 50, then every man or women. And now the guidelines have changed and they have pushed it back after they have noticed that colorectal cancer had become more prevalent on younger individuals. So they're pushing the cutoff at the age of 45. So they're men and women, they should have a colonoscopy done at the age of 45. But if you have a family history, which is very important to know of your family history of having cancer in your family. So then, colonoscopy is something that is recommended at that time. Now, if you or individual is a smoker, then you are, after the age of 50, to undergo what is called a high-resolution CT to look at what the lung structure looks, because as we know, smoking is associated with it. So those are screening measures. Now, then we have, as a female, let's not forget the pap smears, which, cervical cancer, it is like, it is rare, but still occur because the stringent and community support that is there to encourage women to undergo with the routine pap smears.
And even that word alone, or just that public discussion of it not long ago, would have probably made some of us, even talking about it publicly, a little bit uncomfortable. Those of us listening felt like, you don't talk about that publicly. But if I might, your colleagues at HSC and other physicians have shared that sometimes, and it seems to be, well, you correct me, to my ears, that this is more of a regular occurrence. The lady comes for her test, and the doctor says, I need to see you a little early because there's some abnormalities. Some of the things were out. What is that? Is that of concern? So is it the T cells? Whatever, something is a little bit abnormal, perhaps. Maybe they saw things they didn't like to see, so come back in 6 months as opposed to 2 years. Yeah.
So obviously, if you come for a screening test, and it is the pathology report comes back and saying that, hey, there is the description of what it seems to be some what we call atypia or some changes on dysplasia. It is always important for us to make sure that we inform you, make you be aware of what's going on. So this is what we talk about, a precancerous. So that is there, and then we just kind of monitor that it wouldn't change, knowing that it has the possibility to change. Or in the event of you having what we call a cold malignancy, then it is important for us to sit down and, bring you forward to the appointment so we can discuss what is that was reported.
Right. Dr. Martinez, as we rounded our discussion, I say this carefully, but I think I can say that this applies to some of us, men and women. We believe not knowing is good, so we don't go to the doctor, because if we don't get a diagnosis, then therefore it can't be so. Yet we will quickly champion early detection saves lives. So in that, how do we speak to that? But also, what can we say to the public that, hey, right here in the Cayman Islands, we have some resources, we have some things, and what's available in terms of managing and treating cancer, and what's available?
So in terms of managing cancer, it again all depends. If you have a tumor that needs to be surgically resected, then hence surgery is offered. If the cancer has gone to other areas, then radiation is the next step that it will be required. However, radiation currently is not offered at HSA, so we usually have to refer those patients that they need radiation to overseas.
Okay.
The other one is chemotherapy, and that word is chemotherapy. A lot of people, when they come to the chemotherapy unit, they are already in a state of fear because they think that the doctor's sending them because they have cancer, and then that's it. So, but chemotherapy is one of the alternative treatment options that they are available for certain type of cancers. We have now also, we offer immunotherapy for a specific type of cancer. There is hormone direct target therapy for cancer such as like the breast. And then very, very new is like the gene therapy. That there are some of cancer, they express some specific gene targets and that offer a lot of with good satisfactory results.
This is where I think we're showing that there's a progressive advance in society. So those protocols that may be available in other larger jurisdictions are increasingly accessible to our patients here. Now we talk about that, and we see that at the end of the day, maybe respectfully, because of the aggressiveness of the cancer, or unwillingness or just inattention to our own health, leads to something that is inevitable. Are there other forms of cancer care that we should perhaps be cognizant of?
So other form of cancer care is going to determine your life expectancy and the survival rate. But more so, there is the palliative care that is offered, and that comes where I think that you integrate different modalities into it to make sure to ensure that you have whatever is there in terms of life expectancy is all about quality of life. So from the beginning, the psychology is involved, so you have the nutritionist involved to ensure that, as I mentioned before, some of the cancers, they have, that lack of appetite or the weight loss, so ensure that nutritionist is involved in the care of the patient. But we also invite the family to be part of the whole palliative care. And then that brings us out to the talk of end of life, or where we have the Yasmin that offers also supportive therapy for palliation.
And as you run us over palliative care, I'm thinking the psychologist, the nutritionist, sometimes even a level of exercise, but also the family support. That sort of comes back to the beginning when you say a third is preventable. So those lifestyle things that we do, talking to the the psychologist and the therapist, getting the nutritionist involved and dietitian, getting the exercise, getting those things in their, our frequent regular checkups, could put us in the state that our lives and the quality of our lives not only extended but enhanced. So the end of life with the palliative care, let's start at the beginning and improve our lifestyle choices. It's a circle of life, huh?
It is. So I am an advocate for exercise, lifestyle modification, diet, and you have so many confounders coming at you every day from every direction. That increases, your stress, your response, and in return, you're always going to be, or you feel like you're in that fight mode, and that's just release for me. It's just so many factors that just itself, you feel like you're at the edge. So that's when the support comes, the ability that you have from the community, from your family, to be able to express how you feel, to be able to let go, and to make sure that you check up with your physician.
Well, thank you very much, and to all of your colleagues, and by extension to the wider medical community for sharing with us. This is about education, advertising. This is about involvement, engagement, and hopefully, as our people, as parents, we set the example because we prepare the meals, so as healthy as possible, but also getting needed rest and exercise. We also hopefully in our education system, understanding the pressures of the school day, find time for that physical activity and that socialization. But as employers and as employees, as a society, we value health and quality of life. Thank you very much, because you epitomize that whole idea of that work-life balance and making exercise part of your lifestyle.
Thank you so much. Just to remind the community that at the Health Services Authority, we have our hematology unit. We just recently expanded our unit. So we have a hematology oncology service, and then we offer all the treatments that I have listed above.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I say this carefully, and if at any point anybody feels being improper, disrespectful, or even political, share with me. But to me, in any society, and every society, the pillars are a strong, robust healthcare sector, and a wrong, equally important education. Because if your populace are not healthy and educated, your diamonds and oil fields and your other things will amount to hill of beans if your people can't, avail themselves and enjoy it. So
Correct.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martinez.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. It's going to be Saturday, come tomorrow. God's willing, we'll be a part of it. And as we move about the weekend, we'll come back eagerly and with hopeful expectation for a beautiful, blessed week. We invite you to join Mr. Art in the morning for the record and come back for a talk today. It is going to be our monthly Mental Health Matters show. Looking forward to that with Dr. Borden. For those of you, who probably appreciate and understand the importance of Radio Cayman, we inform, we educate, we involve, entertain, and above all, we are the community beat. So until Monday, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.